So we thought what better way to talk about Zacapa and give us some great experiences from Guatemala, and also a 30-year amazing history with this brand, that to bring Lorena. If anyone has any questions for Lorena, we have sort of 5 or 10 minutes of the time. Zacapa, right? So please, any questions would be great. If not, we will sort of have a chat amongst ourselves. But Lorena, thanks.
So 4 in total, so we have 23, and then we have XO, Etiqueta Negra, which is black label, and then we have Reserva Limitada that started last year and will follow on this year as a limited edition.
I think a great question, or something that would be great for everyone to just have a little turn around and have a look at the our Solera system, which we brought with us from Guatemala. Lorena, if you could give us a little bit of an explanation about how the barrels work, that'd be fantastic.
¿Cómo funciona?
El primer tiempo utilizamos barricas de roble blanco americano que antes tuvieron whisky americano.
So in the first stage we use ex-American whiskey barrels.
En la segunda etapa utilizamos barricas de roble blanco americano, pero nosotros hacemos un quemado muy fuerte.
And then in the second stage we use ex-American whiskey barrels, but we heavily char them on site.
Porque queremos que tengan muchos aromas a vainilla, chocolate, los frutos secos.
And this extracts lots of chocolate, vanilla, and dried fruit. Toasted almonds.
Luego en la tercera etapa utilizamos las barricas que antes tuvieron en sherry.
And then in the third stage we use casks that held Oloroso sherries.
Y en la cuarta etapa utilizamos las barricas que tuvieron Pedro Jiménez.
And in the fourth stage, on the lower stage here, we used barrels that previously held Pedro Jiménez wines from Spain.
So Zacapa is from Spain.
Which is the whiskey cask you use? Which whiskey? Some special whiskey, some rye bourbon or something?
Bourbon or Tennessee.
All right, good.
We've drunk this neat. Can you also drink this in cocktails? And if so, which ones are Lorena's favourites?
Old-fashioned. You can just see it here.
Okay. Para mí depende de la ocasión, ¿verdad? Unas veces me gusta tomar solamente el Zacapa, y si se va a preparar un cóctel, me gustan los cócteles donde el ron no pierda su personalidad.
Lorena believes it's very important, depending on the occasion, when you're drinking Zacapa. She said that if you choose to mix it in a cocktail, that the Zacapa always has to be profound in the liquid, and always has to be at the forefront of the cocktail.
Like a daiquiri maybe, or a...
You want to waste this for lemon juice?
Which is quite coincidental, considering we are going to show you how to make it old-fashioned later.
There you go.
There you go. But
How else do we drink this amazing liquid? We can try Zacapa. We can also try it with a little bit more Zacapa, which is a great way. I love to drink it. But what are the modern day bartenders doing with this? And we've tried lots and lots of different creations. We've gone through cocktail books of the past, and basically going back to one of the first ever written words of the cocktail is, how do we define the word cocktail? We talk about the original word cocktail, 1806, combinations of spirit and sugar, bitters and water. So we're talking about that old-fashioned style cocktail, and this is what we're going to make for us today. In front of everybody we have a nice little bar kit. We have our cocktail beaker. Within that we have our strainer and our bar spoon.
Can we keep it?
Unfortunately not, sir, no. I'd love to say you could. We have some beautiful equipment here. So if everyone wants to take the beaker and just bring it towards them, try and keep it away from your headphones, because we will be interacting with the liquids and what have you. Keep the spoon in the actual beaker itself, because this is how we're going to actually start building those flavours. Okay? And they'll just go in nice and simply. Perfect. Lovely. Absolutely great. and we are about 95% of a cocktail.
No, I'm recording.
A cocktail is not a cocktail in my eyes without a garnish.
You're on candid camera.
We're going to add two things to it. We're going to add a food pairing, but also an aroma to the drink. So again, let's take the orange for a second time and get the zest over the top of the drink again. So a nice, thick peeling down the back of the orange. Take the actual piece of orange and just between your fingers, just zap over the top the oils from the skin.
This is going to YouTube.
And then we'll discard it on the actual tray in front of us. What this is going to add to the drink, rather than just being about flavour and taste, the aroma's there as well. So we're kind of using all of our senses now. We're looking at it, we're smelling it, we're tasting it, we're feeling it, we're holding it. Everything is interactive, all about, full sensory evaluation. Once we've got that stage, we'll just put that on the top. And the final point to think about is how else will it taste of those.
Would you rather recommend to make it with a liquid syrup, or can you use the canned sugar cube?
That's a great question. Two big schools on this thought. One is the American market, and they will often use a sugar cube. The reason for that is they will use pieces of whole fruit, often muddling in some orange and some cherry, which gives a little bit more liquid for the sugar to dissolve. When we stir it down just with ice, what happens is sugar cannot dilute
With alcohol,
into alcohol.
Yeah, I know.
So the only thing it can go into is the water. By making a simple syrup, we've taken that problem away. It also means we can stir a drink down in 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes rather than 5, 6 or 7. We've all been there at the bar. The bartender is in his own little world. He's not looking at you and he's not talking to you. He's just trying to dilute that sugar cube within the water. Let's do it for him. Let's do it. Make it simple, and it makes a perfectly balanced, easy cocktail. So yes, different schools for that, sir. Just for this one, and nice and quick and easy, we can make a simple syrup.
Just so you guys can go at home, you won't have those macaroons indoors, I would imagine. It's that standard in your fridge. What we've actually used is a 70 to 80% cocoa. Blended down with cream and Zacapa 23, which creates the ganache in the middle. And the reason why we've done that is because we recommend as the perfect way to drink Zacapa outside of an old-fashioned mixing it, to drink it neat, is with a good piece of dark chocolate between about 70 and 80% cocoa. And the reason why that works is there's a slight bitterness of a darker chocolate. I think if you use milk, it's too sweet on Zacapa. You can go and buy all good luxury chocolates from any supermarket, but get the high percentage cocoa, and it just works perfectly with a neat Zacapa.
I think the good thing about using a high cacao content style of chocolate, or that high cocoa sort of percentage, is when you temper chocolate on the palate, as it warms up in your mouth, out come all the essential oils and the sweetness from the actual bean itself. Whereas as a child you'll eat milk chocolate, you eat it, you crunch it, you swallow it, it's sweet. If you leave it in your mouth as it gets warm, that's when dark chocolate becomes very, very sweet. So that bitterness becomes bittersweet, and that's how that combination with Zacapa works absolutely perfectly well. Don't crunch it and swallow it because it's quite dry, and that's when you won't get those essential oils out. It's all about room temperature. 37 degrees chocolate is at its best as it melts on the top.
And apart from our bartending friends over there, how many of you guys would have the equipment in front of you at home? One. Right, okay, so, right, a shaker, right? So, and the reason why I'm saying that is because lots of the things you have in front of you, you can use in everyday utensils that you have in your kitchen, right? So, you don't have to go out and buy a fancy gold strainer, okay? Or you don't have to go out and buy a fancy gold spoon or a mixing jar, okay? So, something like the jar that you're using, just use a small vase, flower vase, use a jar, whatever you have, so a large even a pint glass, right? You have a pint glass, so you could use a large catering spoon that you have to serve your pasta and your rice.
Think about a wooden spoon upside down. It's thin and it's long and it's going to just circulate the ice. That's all we're looking for it to do. Something that's going to move it, invigorate it, dilute it.
Use 2 egg cups, so that's always good. So just so you know, this spoon here is same as a teaspoon. 5 mils or a standard teaspoon in your kitchen will give you 5 mils, so 2 of those. Instead of a jigger, you can use an egg cup. So the standard egg cup will normally be about 25. So 2 egg cups of Zacapa. Okay, so there's all these ideas that you can do.
A natural daiquiri would just be 50 ml of base spirit with 25 of lime and 12.5 of sugar, or ratios 4 to 1. Really simple. Think about ounces and cakes and 4, 4 and 2 and all that kind of thing.
Or if your child was 73, 2, 1.
All those kind of combinations. What we would suggest into that is just a small dash of a herbaceous liqueur, something like green chartreuse, for example, and that'll bring through a lot of those earthy, sort of spicy notes of the Zacapa, and shaking that through a spiced daiquiri is absolutely delicious. So that's again something you will see on menus around London, because it's a drink that we are sort of pushing out there. But absolutely, neat with chocolate, neat with cheese, as an old-fashioned spiced daiquiri. We have the odd account and we'll make a royal mojito, for example, but that's up to personal choice. It's all what you actually want to do with that product.
Can I have a photo with her?
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Obviously, don't leave the cocktail there. Take it with you. Enjoy it in the hub upstairs. There's obviously a bar there as well where you can get some cocktails. We've got a little gift for you all. There's nothing better in the luxury experience than to have something to take away with you. We have one of the macaroons for you to be able to actually take home and share with your friends. And alongside you can Instagram it before you actually have eaten it, basically, that's what I mean. And alongside that we have a miniature of Zacapa 23, which are unique to GB. We can't get them here. They've come across from Guatemala, and they all have a very, very cute, very small patate band around them, which have been handmade as well. So a big thank you for Lorena for coming all the way. For his translations, and for you guys for experiencing it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks very much. You're very welcome. Of course. Do you want to be with them? Yeah.